let's get started. We're going to do this one, should be pretty quick. The first one of 2021 should be pretty quick. We're going to look at for Snowmageddon, Snowpocalypse, back in February after, that's end of the 2021 season. They were doing work up at Stack Site, getting center pole up out of the ground, getting ready for the new season. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to jump ahead to cut class, and we'll call that a night. And then later in the week, we'll look at photos from first cut. But first, we got everything set up. Try and keep this one short, low key, get used to the new setup. Thanks to all the patrons who made it possible. For got a little bit better audio and processing set up here because of that support, but want to break that in a little bit, and then we will we'll do a bigger one later in the week with first cut. But first, let's go ahead and look all the way back to February. So this would be one of the first things I saw when I got there. Well, I say one of the first things I saw when I got out there, but what happened was this is when the ice storm was on its way in. It just so happened to also be about the time that the junior reds and the green pots and brown pots were out there digging up center pole and the windle sticks from 2020. Part of the work that starts immediately after burn, all the stuff that has to happen at Stack Site. So went out there to take a picture of that. Had planned on coming out to take a picture of them working on that, but then the Snowpocalypse started, and it was freezing, and already, and it hadn't even gotten really bad yet, as you can tell. No ice, snow on the ground or anything. But this is one of them working on that hole. It was so cold. Again, it just kind of springing it on me to go out there and do this. My batteries weren't fully charged on my camera, and I couldn't. It was so cold I couldn't get the batteries to take a charge. So I was out there for an hour and a half before I could even take a single photo. And I'm over at Brown Shack, shooting out, taking a photo. And I was able to take a couple photos, and then the battery was dead. So it was pretty hit or miss for a good while there, till somebody pulled up with a truck, and I was able to charge it from their truck and get some more stuff. But just brutally cold, and they're out there doing work. We see here, center poles there, and the windle sticks are out here. Wasn't much to what was going on out there, besides just digging a hole as fast as they could, because it was so cold, and we knew that it was going to get worse. We didn't have any idea how much worse it was going to get. But they were in a hurry to get out of there just because it was cold and that it was going to get worse. Little did they know, did any of us know. But while they were doing this, everybody had a look around at all this extra wood that was left over. You see a bunch of the stuff back here in the piles. I don't know if I had gotten a photo of the cordwood that they had. Well, it looks like I did get a photo of it. My son was playing in it. Um, so they had a bunch of cordwood laying around, lots of cordwood to go along with everything that was back here behind the ABT. And so looking at all that wood and then considering the weather that was coming in and everything, uh, they decided that they wanted to offer that wood, which they normally sell for to raise money. It's another little fundraising thing that they can do. But they decided to donate that wood and just put out like an all points bulletin to um, radio stations and everywhere, and they were busy working, so they told me what they wanted to do, and so I called the radio stations and let them know what Bonfire was up to, and it just blew up from there. They thought that they had some cordage that was already split for firewood. They thought that they might work their way through. I can't remember. It's like 3-5 cords, something like that. I can't remember. But they thought that they might work their way through those 3 to 5 cords. And right, it was a lot more than that. I should have looked up before we talked here, but it was an insane amount of wood. They blew right through that seasoned cordwood, and then they got into this pile back here and another pile back there with chainsaws. And while they're digging up center pole and the window sticks, digging down into the ground when it's so cold that my battery can't hold a charge on my camera, they're out there working in it and then volunteering to do more work and hand out all this cordwood to the community. Because with all that stuff coming in, and if people lose power or just can't keep up with how cold it's getting, they wanted the community to have this extra wood that they're fortunate enough to have. So a really cool deal, and I was just really proud of them for committing to do that. And we talked about, when they said that that's something they wanted to do, we talked about how, if y'all commit to do that, you still also have a job to do. You got to hold yourselves to that. But just remember, it's not going to be easy, and you're signing up for this, and it could take off, and it darn sure did. And they got their job done, and they handed out an insane amount of cordwood. I believe when they said when it was all said and done, I believe they figured they put 150 cars on the road with firewood. And I'd done a whole mathematical breakdown on it at one point, and was able to convert it to brisket. I gotta find that. That was some creative math. Now that I'm thinking about it, you know what? I'm gonna find that. We got time. Let's see. Search for brisket in my emails. Or maybe it was a text message. I don't know. This is riveting live content. But for those of y'all who haven't experienced this before, this is what I do when I'm going through the photos. This is what I do anyway. So I'm just turning the camera on. I'm looking through the photos and I think, oh man, didn't I convert that to brisket. The brisket conversion rate. Ah, yes, the brisket exchange rate. Here we go. They handed out on February 23rd. They estimated that they handed out 15 cords of firewood. The math on that is 300 million BTUs, which is about 3,200 gallons of propane, which is about $7,000 worth of propane at the time. But considering that the whole swaths of Texas in our local community had no electricity of any kind, it was worth a heck of a lot more than that. But 15 cords, here's where we get to the conversion rate. 15 cords is 40 days of brisket if you cook 3 briskets at a time, 1 batch per day, paid market value for the wood at the time. That'd be about $10,000 for 720 pounds of finished brisket. That's the brisket exchange rate. They handed out $10,000 of brisket. That's my math. It's not official. Anyway, back to the point. Here they are digging away. You see, to get to the pole, it'd be one thing to just dig around straight down around the pole, as deep as you could go, right up close to it, and get a bite on it with the tractor and chainsaw and cut it off. But that's not ideal safety wise. So what they end up doing is digging these long, sort of ramped trenches down to the holes, down to the poles. So it's a lot of extra digging, but they got that done. And it was shortly after I left here that the cars started to show up. But I couldn't, unfortunately, hang around for that because I had to go squirrel away my house with all that coming in. I had fortunately independently accumulated a bunch of firewood for my barbecues and whatnot. So I didn't have to take any of the wood that they had there. But I did talk to some folks who did, and I'll tell you, it was appreciated. So here we go. You see the burn off. That's what I believe. I believe this is one of the window sticks. I'm not sure that this is center pole. I believe this is one of the window sticks. Let's see if I can tell from other photos. That might have been center pole. This is one of the window sticks here. But you see what any one of the poles looks like after burn. I believe this is a window stick. But there they are. That's the sort of just one of the many things that has to happen at stack site after burn and before the season starts. And speaking of the season starting, we'll go ahead and start the season with cut class. We're at the chicken again. A couple of the red pots up there. I'm just getting some photos before the before everything starts, realizing at the last minute that having not had a cut class uh, in a long time, that having an in-person indoors cut class in 2 years. Last year, the cut class was held outside. So not having an indoors cut class in 2 years, I completely forgotten that I needed to bring light because I'm an idiot. So I had to do with available light in there. And as you can see, there's not a whole heck of a lot. Um, so I'm just trying to hurry up and get used to it best I can. Which, quite frankly, not sure I did. I did great, but this was the one day that I was going to be able to come to cut class. We have other stuff the next day, and then we had the live parents, first ever parents bonfire primer that we did live. Subscribe to the channel. Go look at my videos there. You'll see one of the last videos we done was the parents bonfire primer, and so we did that on Thursday on the last day of cut classes. Check that out. It was great. Lots of motivated parents. Have heard from lots of parents who watched it rebroadcast again. We got motivated Aggie parents this year, so that was great. But back to cut class here, everybody's filling out their cards. Number of core outfits showed up. I'm not sure that this was their day. I think their day was a little bit later. And I'm just taking advantage of what light I have. There are 5 junior red pots this year. There were only 4 available. 4 available for the first cut class. Junior red pots have classes too. So they're all starting to fill in, calling them up to the front. I missed this one. This guy took a flying leap over 3 rows of people. So cut classes have been happening at the Dixie Chicken for, oh, good grief. Let me see if I can tell. 2000, was it 2013? Was that the first year at the Chicken? Let's see. Go back in time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 2015. No. Bukowski and Shane Hennig and them, they were at the Chicken. So it's been there for 7 years now. I guess this will be the 8th year that they've been at the Chicken. There's the seniors. Before it starts again, there's going to 4 seniors this year. There were 3 at this cut class. And so at cut class, what's happening is they're just generally speaking, they're reviewing the absolute simplest non-negotiable rules. Get everybody started on this is what the standards are for this year. Any adjustments to major operational or behavioral expectations, but mostly for the freshmen, what they're making sure everybody understands is here's who's in charge, and here's who you need to be listening to, and the rest of the detailed instructions. It happens the only place that you can teach somebody how to do it, which is in the woods. They're doing some shouting. I'm trying to figure out how to get enough light to do something with it. Making the introductions, starting with the seniors. Most importantly, I'm a fighting Texas Aggie senior red pot. Working out the kinks here. It's been, oh man, y'all, it's been 8 months since I've done 9 or 10 months since I've done one of these, and we're kind of doing a little bit differently now with Zoom and everything. So see some jumping around a little bit while I'm getting back in the swing of doing this thing, which we only just started doing last year, Ron. So all the seniors make their introductions. Then the juniors, then the browns, then the greens all introduce themselves. With as much intensity as they can muster. And the browns do brown pot things, the way they always do. And again, these are grainy. There's a lot of movement going on. Like I said, because I'm an idiot, and it's been 2 years since we've been inside at the chicken, and I did not bring any light. So we're just dealing with whatever light is there, and there's not a whole heck of a lot, so it's a mess. That's all right. This cut class, we're all learning together. And we see it's packed. It is packed all the way back. There's a ton of people at this cut class. And from what I heard afterwards, there was a ton of people at all of the cut classes. And then you had a bunch of people show up at first cut that had not been to any cut classes. There we go. This is my seesaw. Do not touch saw. Again, reminding everybody, one of the rules every year. Easy one to remember. Don't mess with the brown pots chainsaws. Greens making their introductions. Four greens this year. Squared away bunch. Now, with the introductions having been made, the juniors start the class part of cut class. Finally got a decent one out of that. Junior red pot's all business. Brown pot's all brown pot. Giving instructions on the basics of swinging on a tree. What side of the tree is the fall path? Oh, just missed that one. Just missed it. I'll take it. It's not great. It's not great, but I'll take it. You get the idea. Now they're teaching how to call a log, how to swamp it, if we're going to use the PC term there. Green pot is demonstrating the call. And now at the end of cut class, we get Good Bull story time. One of the seniors tells a story. You know, at everything at A&M has got to have a story. And then, of course, the last thing you got to do, build the hell out of bonfire. Little yell practice at the end. We'll see this again. I believe this coming up weekend, I'm going to be going out in the afternoon. First cut, I was out until about lunchtime and came back in the morning. So this next weekend, I'm going to be out in the afternoon. So, you know, hopefully I'll be able to get some photos of the end of the shift and, you know, all the crews doing their go homes. Old Army does it twice. So here's the second build the hell out of bonfire. Then everybody made a tunnel for the brown pots. That's nice. We powwow afterwards. And that does it. So that was our little warm up for the year. our first little Cull and Good Bull session, having reviewed the pre-Snowmageddon, digging up center pole, just one of the many tasks that has to happen after burn before the next season starts. And then the first cut class. So later on this week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, we'll jump on. We'll have all the kinks worked out with all this stuff here, and we'll do the first real Cull and Good Bull session with what was a pretty big first cut. So great start to the season. Looking forward to it. Follow, subscribe, like, etc. Get posted. You'll be updated, get a notification when we go live later this week with first cut and in the beginning of cut and that phase of building Bonfire 2021. Subscribers to Patreon can join the stream via Zoom, starting with first cut. I'm going to jump on a little bit early to get everything set up, and we'll stay on a little bit after to answer questions and talk about the season so far. Otherwise, what's going live via Zoom is going to be on YouTube, minus the before and after parts. So if you want to join on Zoom and join in on the chat, then that's available for patrons at patreon.com/Dion C Gallery. Links in the description. So join up there, follow along Facebook, Twitter, etc. And of course, follow Student Bonfire at Student Bonfire on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and get motivated. Bonfire 2021. And I'll see you later this week with first cut. Thanks for hanging with me while we figured out this whole new setup. And I'm looking forward to going through first cut. I took a sneak peek. It's squared away. All right. Thanks, and Giga Maggies. Build the hell out of Bonfire.